This program is brought to you in part by the Paul B. Hunter and Constance D. Hunter Charitable Foundation, Incorporated, a proud partner of WUCF-TV and the Central Florida community.
Welcome to a journey through history. This is Central Florida Road Trip.
Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of Central Florida Road Trip. This week we are in beautiful Marion County in horse country in the city of Ocala. We are going to make our home base during this episode here at the Ocala Stud Farm, home of Florida's oldest thoroughbred horse farm. Now, of course, we're going to start, as we always do, with a little bit of history about the city of Ocala, starting at Fort King. Fort King was originally built in 1827 to serve as a buffer between the new settlers to Florida and the Seminole Indians. When tensions grew, the Seminoles burned the fort to the ground, only to see a bigger fort rebuilt 1 year later.
This fort was the center of everything. Everything was commanded out of here. It commanded the entire southeast, and all the other forts that you saw were built as kind of like picket forts. They were much smaller. This one's 150 by 150 with 2 blockhouses. The walls are 18 feet high. They're made out of pine that's been split in half. And the inside of the walls, there's a shooting platform that goes all the way around. There were no other structures like it. It was a massive undertaking, and they did it all from scratch and by hand. It's pretty incredible because there are a lot of historical figures that came through this site during that war period. You had future presidents. You had one gentleman you're probably familiar with, Ichabod Crane, served in Fort King. It was a pretty significant place because everybody that was in the military wanted to come through here at that time.
The first county seat was actually at the fort, but the Armed Occupation Act said no one could live within 2 miles of a fort. So they had to pick another location in order to have anybody be able to live in their county seat.
After the war, and I think it was 1844, they decided to move the settlements into where Ocala is today. They tore down the fort and took the lumber in there to build some of the first buildings in Ocala.
Ocala was a major Timucuan village in the 16th century, and the modern city of Ocala takes its name from that historical village. The city of Ocala was established in 1849 and started to prosper thanks in part to the beauty of nearby Silver Springs.
Tourism at the Springs goes way back to the earliest days. Ulysses Grant visited here and stayed at a hotel downtown. And there was a period before the coming of the railroads and even after the railroads came that the easiest way to get into Marion County and Ocala was by one of the steamboats that came up the Ocklawaha, up the Silver River to the headwaters of the springs. It gave people a reason to come here, and coming by boat was easiest. The stagecoach from Gainesville to Ocala took 12 hours, and from Palatka to Ocala took 15 hours, so the boat was a little bit faster.
With the arrival of the railroad, Ocala continued to grow. However, disaster would soon hit.
Thanksgiving weekend in 1883, there was what is known as the Great Fire in Ocala. It burned most of the central business district. It burned the newly completed Ocala House Hotel, which had had its grand opening the week before. And then the wind shifted and it whipped around the other side of the square and burned all the buildings there. After the fire, on the exterior of your buildings, you had to have fireproof material. Since brick was cheaper, everybody built in brick, and the nickname Brick City started.
The city would rebuild and become an important center for citrus production. But once again, disaster hit with the Great Freeze.
There was a terrible freeze in the winter of 1894, 1895, and it wiped out so much of the citrus industry, farmers diversified. And it brought in more truck farming and more cattle.
Mama's people came here in the 1840s. They have endured all sorts of hardships, health hardships, the freezes that damaged crops and things. I think the resiliency. These folks were tough. They had to be.
In the early 1940s, Ocala's future was turned in a new direction as Carl G. Rose established the very first thoroughbred horse farm, called Rosewood.
Ocala has evolved into a major training area for thoroughbreds. It's become the horse capital of the world for many disciplines and for many horse enthusiasts. We have the climate that allows us to train horses every day. And if you love horses, you're able to ride horses every day.
We have the same lime rock underneath our ground here as they have in Kentucky.
Limestone is very good for horses' bones. It's very conducive to raise a very good horse.
The key to us also is the weather. You know, our babies are out the first day they're born, and they're out almost all the time. And we have a little growth edge on our neighbors in Kentucky.
Ocala and Marion County is great horse country, and the thoroughbred community found that out in 1956 when Bonnie Heath Farm and a horse named Needles helped put Ocala and Marion County on the map.
Bonnie Heath Farm really was one of the originals. No question that the farm did put Ocala and Marion County on the map, because Needles was the first champion Florida bred. And then he came back to be champion again as a 3-year-old. And I asked my dad, was Needles responsible for the boom in the thoroughbred business? He said, no, he said, we started it. He said, what happened was gonna happen anyway. And let me know, my dad was a landman. He was a landman from the oil field, and he knew good property when he saw it. And he knew what it took to raise good animals. And this is what it is. That's what Ocala is.
Bonnie Heath and Jack Dudley were convinced by their trainer to buy the horse that turned out to be Needles, although it's a miracle that Needles ever even made it to the track.
They came up with $20,000 in early '55, very early '55, to buy Needles, and of course, the rest is history, as they say. You know, it's a miracle that Needles is even here. The whole story is pretty special. Needles almost didn't make it as a baby. He was a late foal, first of all, but he had pneumonia, and he darn near died. And Dr. Bronner, Dr. Reuben Bronner, who was a wonderful, wonderful man, was the only vet around here. And Dr. Bronner would come give him shots, and then Bill and Dickie Leach, his wife was Dickie Leach, she was a nurse, and she was able to give the shots herself. So Needles had many, many injections, and that's where his name came from, was from all the injections that he had. He won the Derby on guts and class, he really did. It's pretty neat stuff.
And here they go, 9 3-year-olds off and running in the mile and 3/16 race. Shorter than...
Needles almost won the Triple Crown in 1956. After winning the Derby, he finished second in the Preakness and went on to win the Belmont as well.
Ocala without the horse industry would be a very lonely place to me. It's a tremendous economic influence. The thoroughbred industry contributes, I believe it's 2.6 or 2.8 billion, with a B now, dollars to the state economy every year. So we are a major player to the whole state, but particularly Marion County.
Needles was born in 1953 at the famed Dickey's Stables, and just 3 years later, that became what is now Ocala Stud Farm.
My family came here in 1956 from Westminster, Maryland, on the notion that Ocala could be a very good place to breed, raise, and train thoroughbreds. We have great grass, we have good rolling hills, big beautiful oak trees. It's very conducive for young horses, development-wise, being able to raise a very good horse. We have the oldest active thoroughbred training barn in the state of Florida. It's just a unique, beautiful setting, good energy, and just a really nice, old-school barn that horses do really well in, and it has just a wonderful atmosphere. That barn was built in the late 40s. You know, we're just fortunate to be able to operate out of these old barns. You know, they're not modernized, but they get the job done, and sometimes old school works.
Ocala Stud was also one of the first to have a therapy pool for horses.
That pool was installed in 1958. It was installed for our stalwart stallion, Rough and Tumble. He was the leading sire in the state. He had laminitis, sore feet. The pool allowed him to be able to get some exercise and be happy and healthy. It's the first of its kind, and we still use the pool today. The USS Kentucky Belle is a unique tradition to Ocala Stud. My grandfather was very proud of the state of Florida, and he felt strongly that we could compete with Kentucky and how we raised horses. So he felt very strongly that he could raise just as good, if not a better horse than Kentucky. So anytime a Florida bred won a stakes race, he rang the bell for everybody on the farm to hear. Ocala has evolved into a major training area for thoroughbreds. I think Florida breds outrun their pedigree. We raise a tough horse here in Florida. Pound for pound, I think our product stacks up with the best in the world.
Well, we're here with Lonnie Powell, who's the CEO of the Florida Thoroughbred Breeders and Owners Association. Thanks for having us out, Lonnie.
Hey, it's great to have you here in Ocala. Welcome to Marion County.
Well, tell us a little bit. I've been told Marion County is one of those special places as it relates to raising thoroughbreds. Why is that?
It really is. I mean, not just thoroughbreds, but horses specifically, or in general. We're the largest county in the U.S. in terms of actual horse and pony population, horses of all breeds. So first of all, we're very much an equicentric community. For many years, there's just been a stellar tradition of not only great equines that have come out of this area, but fantastic people who have made names for themselves in all aspects of the horse business. Some say it's our special aquifers, it's our minerals in our soil, it's the grass, very similar to the bluegrass in Kentucky. I like to look at it as it's like Kentucky, but with palm trees, a lot more sunshine, and that little bit of that special Florida laid back that transcends from the people to the horses and makes us so special.
Now, when we talk about us being a special place,
yes.
This is also a global thing. Right?
Absolutely.
The horses are a global phenomenon. Where do we kind of rank in that world?
Well, we're one of the top markets in terms of horses in general, and specifically thoroughbreds in the world. First of all, in terms of general horses, we're the third most populous horse state in the country. It's California and Texas, which are much more geographically larger than ourselves. Then when it comes to thoroughbreds, we're one of the top breeding and one of the top racing jurisdictions in the world. Purebred horses are one of the leading exports from an agricultural business standpoint for Florida, and we're truly an international business. We spend a great deal of our time going to places like China and Korea, South America, and all over where people want to invest in Florida breds or invest in farms here in Marion County. So it truly is a global business and really important to the state's economy.
So now, when you talk about business, which
yes.
you said several times
yes.
there, obviously there's going to be an event. Let's talk a little bit about the sales events when you have those for FTBO.
Yes, the Ocala Breeder stud sales are renowned throughout the world. They take place here in Marion County, right here in Ocala. There's about 6 of those sales a year, and the sales that they are best known for are their 2-year-old sales, the horses that are just getting ready for training and racing age. It's the top sale in the world. So when you come here during this, particularly you look at the April or the June sales, you'll have people from not only all over North America, but from all over the world. And you know, it makes sense too when you think about the pool of thoroughbreds we have to draw from here is we're the 3rd largest breeding jurisdiction of thoroughbreds in North America over all these other provinces, over all these other states, and probably a top 7 world industry in terms of what Florida means on the world economy with horses. So it's a big deal. There's no doubt about it.
So in addition to the business aspect, there's also a big charitable aspect for FTBOA, right?
That's correct. I mean, we represent the breeders and owners' interests throughout the state, and particularly here in Marion County, and we're the type of culture that not only do we receive, we love to give back. And so a big part of what we do is through our Florida Thoroughbred charities that my organization oversees. We oversee a number of subsidiaries, that being one of them, is the primary recipients of our charity there are the scholarship applicants at the various colleges throughout the state. And we have a horse farm up at Lowell Correctional Institute for Women that helps retired horses and women working themselves out of their sentences to be mainstreamed back in society. It allows both a very good chance to get to know each other, to rehab themselves, if you will, and make a good life for each other. So those are just some of the things that we get involved in. And you know, one other thing I think it's really important to emphasize is the fact when it comes to just pure jobs and economic impact, thoroughbreds are a $3 billion economic impact on an annual basis here in Florida. We are 25,000 jobs, and that exceeds the professional baseball spring training that's to show you how magnificent of an industry this is and how rich its economic impact and jobs are to not only Marion County, but to the state as a whole.
Well, Lonnie, thank you for your time today. We certainly appreciate it. It was great to meet you out here in the beautiful Ocala Stud Farm.
Well, thanks for coming. We enjoyed having you, and everybody come out and visit us on the horses at Marion County and Ocala.
Here's a Central Florida road trip fast fact for you about Ocala. Did you know that in 1995, Ocala earned the All-American City Award? It's an honor that is handed out to 10 communities in the United States every year by the National Civic League.
Now let's see what our favorite history devotee, Don Price, has uncovered for this week's Artifact.
Thanks, Phil. I'm here with Chief Curator for the Orange County Regional History Center, Pamela Swartz.
Hi there.
And what we have here is some Central Florida highlights from Ocala. Can you explain a little bit about them?
Absolutely. So we actually collect several counties worth of items here at the History Center. And this is from the McGee family. And the McGees were a couple, Lois and Brian, who both worked in the film industry. Brian was on the film crew for MGM, and Lois was in costume. And what we have here are a scrapbook and a lot of different photographs and different items, specifically about the yearling. So the yearling, if people aren't familiar, they hopefully are, was written in 1938 by Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings. And later adapted into a film by 1946. So this is a really interesting, intimate view of the behind the scenes in the yearling. You see photos here of the deer in their pens, of the tower that they built to shoot the first opening scene of the yearling.
Wow.
So it's not the type of thing you can just see if you look up the yearling on the internet. It's things that a person who worked on the film actually put together and created a scrapbook.
And what makes these so important to Central Florida's history?
Well, it's the big thing. We all know there's been a lot of films that have been filmed here, and the thing about the yearling that I find really interesting is that Ocala is still preserved as a bit of a wild place. But looking back at that film, you can get a really good feel for what Cracker pioneer life was really like. And so it's sort of a glimpse into the past, because though it was filmed in the 1940s, it indicates a much earlier time even. And so it's special things, and it's also personalized. Here we have this photo of Gregory Peck, and there's a lot of autographed images of Gregory Peck floating around out there, I'm sure. But this one's actually inscribed to Lois McGee, who is from here and worked on that costume. And it says, "To Lois McGee, with all good wishes from a fellow Cracker." And so that makes it very special to us because he would not have written that on somebody's thing, maybe in Minnesota where something was filmed, etc. And he was sort of a handsome fella, so we're lucky to have that in the collection. But it's all unique pieces of a puzzle that we put together to tell us a larger story about Central Florida's history.
There's so many treasures here at the History Center. Thanks again, Pam, for sharing this information with us.
Time for us to shift gears a little bit now and talk about a different kind of horsepower. Just a little bit south of Ocala lives a sporting legend, and there's no name bigger in the world of drag racing than Big Daddy Don Garlits.
He's the number one.
He's just the man to beat.
He's a superior.
He's a genius when it comes to a top fuel engine.
He's it.
He's Big Daddy.
Legend in his own time, winner of more top fuel.
Coming out of the tire smoke is Don Garlits, the winner.
I love drag racing, and I love automobiles, in fact. I've always been a person that liked to think out of the box and try things. You can see all of my experiments weren't successful, but even the failures gave you information that you needed.
From the inception of top fuel dragsters in the 1960s, all successful race cars looked like this one, with the engine in front of the driver. But that all changed on March 8th, 1970.
You know, I got hurt real bad at Long Beach. The transmission, my own, that I had designed, exploded. The drum split into two pieces, like a two-bladed big saw. Sawed the car in half and cut my foot off.
Garlits knew there had to be a safer way, so while recovering in the hospital, he began to design a new car with the engine mounted behind the driver. After overcoming some frustrating steering issues, he debuted his new rear-engine car named Swamp Rat 14 prior to the 1971 season. Big Daddy took the car to California, won the race, and changed the face of top fuel drag racing forever.
People ask me, you know, what do you feel is your greatest accomplishments? The number one is the development of the rear engine car that saved so many lives. There haven't been 6 people killed since 1970, and look at the difference in the speeds. It probably was the greatest safety innovation in motor racing.
Big Daddy experienced another e-ticket wild ride at Englishtown in 1986, driving Swamp Rat 30.
So it left the line with the wheels up just a little bit, and as the speed increased, it hydroplaned up on this cushion of air. And I thought to myself, oh my God, I'm gonna hurt this wonderful car. And then a little voice in the back of my head said, you better remember something, you're in it. Going 200 miles an hour, standing straight up, and then it pirouetted around. And when it did that, thank God, the wind blew it back down. And it didn't knock me out or anything. I got out and raised my hands to the crowd, you know. Been a lot of miracles in my life. That was one of the small ones. There's been a couple of big ones. And I mean, I've seen the presence of God many times. And it's a lot bigger force than we even understand.
At the age of 87, Big Daddy is now the ambassador for the sport that he helped create, encompassing the sport's history at his drag racing museum just south of Ocala.
When you come to the Don Garlits Museum of Drag Racing, we cover the sport all the way back to the beginning in the late 40s. And now this is the largest drag racing museum on the planet and the only one that's devoted strictly to drag racing.
The museum also includes a classic antiques car building filled with over 50 classic rides. For many, this is truly a trip down memory lane, from roadsters to muscle cars to even Dwight Eisenhower's '56 Chrysler.
You look around in this room and these other rooms, you see this facility here, and you look at the record, there's no way that a person should be able to do all of this in a lifetime. And I just like people to say that, you know, that I left everything better than I found it. That's what I want to be remembered for. I don't care about the speeds or anything. I mean, that's great, but to be a good human being and made some kind of a contribution, that's what I want to be remembered for.
You know, there's an awful lot to see at the Don Garlits Drag Racing Museum. And you know, there's another familiar name from Ocala who made a big impact on UCF football.
This Ocala native got his athletic start at Vanguard High School and then went on to rewrite virtually all of the quarterback records at UCF. Ocala's own Dante Culpepper continued his career with 11 seasons in the NFL.
We told you about the Don Garlits Drag Racing Museum, but did you know there's another museum here in Ocala that may be a little bit lesser known, but it's actually in the Guinness Book of World Records?
Why flamingos, you ask? And it's like, why not? I just love them, and there's a lot of people out there that love them also. In 2008 is when I brought the collection in to the shop here to have my customers enjoy them also. I have exactly 1,197 flamingo items in my collection now, and growing daily. A customer brought an article in one day about the Guinness World Record. So I said, well, I can do that. It was quite a production, a 14-month production. So about 6 months later, I get this email saying I've got the Guinness World Record. That opened up another ball of flamingos. Because people just came from all over because it's a world event, known worldwide now. The reaction I get from people when they come in are mixed. 99% of everybody that comes in oh, wow, I love your collection. And then there's some people, mostly men, that don't get it. Mostly people make an effort to come out of their way to come see the Flamingo Museum, and that's what I enjoy. I'm proud of it. I still have a hard time saying that I am the Guinness World Record holder for the most flamingos in a collection in the world. I have my custom frame shop here, and that's what pays all the bills so I can have a flamingo museum. But as long as I'm the Guinness record holder and people want to come, I'll just be here.
Interestingly, the flamingo, and not the plastic kind, is actually the national bird of the Bahamas.
We're on the road once again next week, this time stopping in Orange County's second largest city, Apopka. Its history includes a mayor that served for more than 6 decades. And it's a place where birds of a feather flock together. And it's also a place where you can find a doggone good time. That's next week on Central Florida Road Trip.
Think you might know a bit of history that we've missed? Then head on over to facebook.com/WUCFTV and let us know. And for more adventures around our area, check out other episodes of Central Florida Road Trip at WUCF.org/roadtrip.
Thanks so much for joining us here on this episode of Central Florida Road Trip. Make sure you tune in next time for more of the rich history that surrounds us every day right here in Central Florida.
This program is brought to you in part by the Paul B. Hunter and Constance D. Hunter Charitable Foundation, Incorporated, a proud partner of WUCF-TV and the Central Florida community.